Okay, welcome back. I know this is an epic session here, but this took a long time to put together before the video, so I'm not surprised that it took a long time to record, because there's a lot going on here. We've actually gotten our NPCs into the world now. We're not doing anything with them, but they are coming into the world dynamically. So let's finish off a couple of things. First of all, I need some sort of customization for these guys. Not all orcs are the same. We're bringing in prefab, but we're leaving it as the regular prefab. I want to make some changes. So what we're going to need to have is, I'm going to need to create something to tag with the changes I'm making. Now, the first thing I'm going to change is the name of the mob. And if we look at our orcs, whom I don't have any of right now, let me go bring an orc into the scene. Really now, they'll be under resources. Orc. One orc. Thank you. Turn around here so I can see you. Alright. We're going to make a few changes to him. I'm going to go down and change this billboard. Now, since the last time we did billboards, I made another change here, which you don't have. You don't need, but it was just something that was a personal affront to me. But the text in Unity was just so fuzzy and ugly. I finally just caved in and went out to the asset store and got Text Mesh Pro. It's $95. It's an expensive asset. I really could have lived without it, but on the other hand, I couldn't live without it because that text just looks so much nicer. Okay. It was going to drive me crazy for a very long time, and now I have a good text solution for, well, forever, I guess. The significance of my telling you this is that the script I'm going to put in is going to be customized Text Mesh Pro, but the changes that you would make if you're using the old billboard would be almost the same, just a different class name. Okay. I want to create another script in here, and I'll call it another C# script. And its job is going to be to push the name down to NPC customization. This is a pretty ambitious name. But I had hopes that maybe it would do something else. I don't need an update. I just need start. It is going to be a mono behavior because I'm going to attach it to the prefab. And I want to expose a string name. The reason is that if I wanted to change the name of this orc, I'd have to drill all the way down to that billboard, which is down below there, and that's going to be painful. Could I write code to go and drill down there? Yes, but it's more and more taking on knowledge of the structure of that prefab, and I would rather have the change up at the top level to push it down, sort of like what I did with the chat script. The chat script, if you recall, the chat window, I put in the top level a font name and a point size, so I could just go in there and change it, and then it would go down into the controls below and set those attributes up. So that made it a lot more user friendly. So we're going to do that here. In order to make this work, though, those of you who are using the original billboards will need to say something like using Unity Engine.ui, because you'll need to get a text object out. Okay, and I'm going to be saying using TM Pro. Okay, this is only and then what we'll need to have is a private variable down here, and this will be, for me, Text Mesh Pro UGUI, and I'll call it text. And you can just have it as a private text, something like private text. Okay. It's inside start. What we want to do is we want to declare a billboard, reference to a billboard. And let me go back over to orc. Where is that orc? Here's the orc. So just for reference, drill down here, and here's the billboard. And the billboard has billboard text. I think it was called text the last time you saw it. The name doesn't really matter a whole lot because I'm going to look it up by type, not by name. We found the billboard. That's this thing right here. And I want to get the next level down. So first thing though is get the billboard. And game object, lowercase game object is the object that this is attached to. The script is attached to. Uppercase game object searches the entire scene. This searches just the orc. So game object dot, and I want to say get component, and I want component singular in children as opposed to the plural down there. That's an easy mistake to make. Find billboard for me. Okay, search the orc, find the billboard. That is going to be pretty much a slam dunk. I will check though to see that it's actually there, and this thing gets attached to the wrong thing. Next, I want to do is I want to find text equals billboard dot game object dot, I want to call get component again in children singular. Now the billboard game object is the billboard thing right there. Its child is going to be this billboard text, and so I'm going to look up the text Mesh Pro UGUI, and you guys can look up text in there instead. Okay, and I want to say if text is not equal to null, text.text equals name. That's it. Okay, so two changes that you'd need to make to how it worked with the old text. Why did I change it though? Because I got tired of looking at it, and I'm sorry if that inconvenienced you, but I got tired of looking at it. Okay, that looks so much prettier, and it scales. No matter how close I get to it, or how far away I get, we can actually read that text. Okay. What do I do with this NPC customization? And I'll take the NPC customization and put it up here, and I'll give it a default name, orc. Now I will take this orc here, and I will save it back out as a prefab. If I change it to prefab, and I can delete the orc. Okay, it's saved out there, and it'll be the prefab is loaded. Now, before we can have that take effect, I'm going to need to actually have that called, and we'll need to do that when the orc is instantiated. So let's see, right in here. All right, so this was the section where we turned off the guy and set his transforms. After we do that, though, before we turn it back on, I want to come down here and I want to load up that NPC customization. And I can just look at get component and say NPC customization. It's going to be attached to the top level of the orc. If we find it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the name of it to equal to, do I have the name? I'm going to need to get that from the NPC manager. Once again, I'm going back to the NPC manager for information on the orc. The NPC public string name NPC right? What is NPC? No, okay. I don't have to start this thing over again. NPC type ID. And I'll return NPC types. NPC type ID dot name. And I can get rid of these two prints here since we found that other little problem and fixed it. I don't need debug prints. Okay, so there's a public accessor that will give me the name based on the type. Back to the zone manager and say, all right, now I want that name, and the type ID is type ID. Okay. So that will store the type ID. And while I'm doing it, let me, well, let's one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Let's see this. Private errors. Expected symbol line 52. Okay. Oh, I must have gotten rid of my semicolon by accident. Okay. That was a rather long startup. Make sure it's not doing something really crazy here. There's the boss org. Okay, so I'm just changing the name. You know what I think is going on is I think the video encoding that I was doing in the last video might be hampering things. My only complaint with the boss org looks great, but I want him scaled up. He needs to be bigger. Remember I said scale larger than this. So that's another customization. And what we're going to do here is to go back to this NPC manager. And in addition to giving me the name, I'm going to public float get scale NPC num return NPC types NPC type ID dot scale. Okay, it's going to be a scaling factor for the org. And I'll go back to the zone manager here, and even though I set the name here, float scale equals manager dot instance dot get scale type ID. And I want to now go dot transform dot, we'll use local scale equals new vector3 scale scale scale. Apply that scaling factor to all three of the scales. And hopefully we won't have to wait too long now for boss to spawn. And we go down middle org, regular org. So I'm going to pause this and keep recycling this until I find a boss, or maybe a better thing to do before I do that. Why don't we put in the command interpreter so that we can just type in respawn and have it perform that action, because that is the list of things to do. Okay, here's our command interpreter. Once again, what we had was, as far as customization, a list of commands. So we're going to, of course, add a new command to this, and an action corresponds to that. So I'll come down here after the last action and add a new one, and it'll look just like this one here. In fact, let me just copy this string so I can get the whole signature right, and go away. I'm going to call that despawn and respawn. Getting a little late for me. Okay, so we have that. I want to, of course, have an object array, the message, just like we have up here. I'll set the message goes to new object array. And let me just copy this thing, I guess. And I can take everything between the color tags. And say respawning zone, I'll get rid of that leading space. So what we're going to do, I will invoke that message. And I just need now to perform the respawning. Before I respawn, I need to despawn. So let's go back to this. So it's going to be something like NPC manager dot instance dot. I'm not going to say respawn here. I'm going to say despawn. But I'll put the respawn in first as a reminder, and then come back over here for the despawn. Okay. So respawn puts fills the zone with mobs. When we despawn, it'll take them away. And it's going to do something very much like this. That means I need to go back to the spawn group and public void despawn. And this is why we had those accessors that gave us the game object and spawn point and all that stuff, because we need to have this to reach NPC, or the NPC structures are in the currently spawned list. So for every NPC spawned, I want to say object.destroy, so I'll use the class destroy method, and I need to give it the game object. So npc.get game object, that'll destroy it. And then I need to reset the spawn point. Use equals false. Okay. Now at the very end of this, I'm going to say currently spawned dot clear. I don't want to try to remove it inside here because that will really mess up the iteration if I'm altering that list. But I can just zero the thing out down after the loop. So that's a good despawn. NPC manager will have its despawn here. I said it was going to be just like this, and it will be one letter off. Okay, so that will despawn everything in the spawn group. I'm going to go back to zone manager, and I'm sorry, the command interpreter. I'm losing track of all this stuff. And I said that we need to do manager instance dot despawn. Despawn followed by a respawn. And now you go back up here to list of commands and fill that in. So remove command text equals /respawn action equals on respawn. Okay, that's all that we need to do. Very nice. That's why I'm so excited to have that command interpreter in there. Okay, so it's still working right now. If I come back up so I can see this whole spawn, see respawn, and he disappeared. Okay, that is a bug, and I think I have a pretty good idea what that could be causing that. But we see object reference not set to an instance to an object in despawn. Let's go back to spawn group and take a look at that. That was on line 56. Okay. 56 is this line right here. Get spawn point. Okay, so a couple of things that could be going on here. Now, it's possible that the NPC could be null. I don't think the destroying the game object would be enough to get rid of the NPC structure, because that's one of my structures. It's not managed by Unity. It's possible that the spawn point is not stored in this NPC. So let's go double check that. Okay, so that'd be under NPC. Oh, this is not good here. Look at how the spawn point was using this variable, and I assigned spawn point to itself. This needs to be point. Okay, that could have been a lot harder to track down. Let's clear this. I don't think it's... Okay, we have orcs now. Now elemental orc. Respawn. And we're seeing respawn behavior. Good, back up some more. Although I do have to type it correctly. Much faster. Now the thing that we're checking for is the boss orc. There we go. He's big. Yeah, he's bigger than the other orcs. So that's the effect of scaling, and we see the names as well. So that's my goals for this video here. We have now NPCs spawning in the world. What we're going to need to do in maybe the next video is work on targeting, so that we can target these guys. Remember, we had target rings way back in the beginning. I'm going to bring these back into to the game, and I want to be able to kill individual orcs. We don't have a combat system yet, so I'll be able to do it from the command line down here, from this command interpreter, and just kill an orc, whoever my target is. I want to do that, and I want to check that the respawn timers work correctly, that after a certain period of time it spawns again. So that's going to be a little bit involved. As you can tell, it's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, but I'm pretty excited by what I'm seeing here, because this is most of what we need before we can get a combat system in place. And that's kind of an important part of an RPG. So until next time, see you later.